Why do you think that the U.S. has lost its way?
Wow. You saved the little question. I don't know that we have lost our way, first of all. This may be our way. And I think the more we think about it, the more we have to, and we examine the evidence, the more we have to explore the idea that the way in which we find ourselves is the way that we have selected, whether it be by default, whether it be by adverse selection, whether it be from pure apathy and avoidance of a result that has a direct cause in a host of really not so admirable values on the part of the American people. We've become a people who find it we seem to be quite comfortable to say things like, these are jobs Americans don't do. I have to tell you, I find that so repulsive. To the point, it is sickening to me in the illegal immigration debate that people would say things like, Americans just don't do those jobs. Let's bring illegal immigrants. And they will say it as if they are the kindest people in the world, being so generous to those illegal immigrants, because those are jobs we don't do. Therefore, it's okay to bring these people, quote unquote, into our society. I find that so un-American to say, these are jobs for immigrants or illegal immigrants. The hell you say. If we reached a point in our society where we are too good for any one job of whatever, it's another matter to say it's a job for which we want to have more pay because it is such arduous, tough, back-breaking work. That's another thing to say. And if we say it, then damn it, let's pay what the job is worth. But that isn't the way Americans are talking, certainly not in our national media, not among our politicians. They're talking nonsense. They're talking utterly irrationally, day in and day out. And those things become an agenda. And those things become expectations across the body politic, irrespective of your party or lack of affiliation thereto. I think we lost our way when we decided it's in concomitant with that observation, I would offer this. The idea that we talk about a society of entitlement. Republicans tend to put their nose in the air and say, oh, those people are drawing Social Security, they're drawing Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, unemployment insurance, disability. It's an entitled society. That's what's wrong with this place. Well, I think there's another larger and frankly far more toxic entitlement. And that is sometimes exhibited by Republicans as well as Democrats. And that is that we don't have a responsibility individually to participate in our democracy. That, oh no, we can leave that, noblesse oblige. Let's leave this to our elites. And we don't have to bother our pretty little heads about it. We can go about our business indifferent to the consequences of the public policy choices we make, or let's be very careful. Not policy choices we make, but which we permit our elites to make. And then we can complain incessantly about those consequences, intended or unintended. So that's another factor in it all. A society that has turned on itself. Individuals who have insulated themselves, and two parties that aren't talking very straight about anything at all, whether it's public policy, whether it's domestic policy. And people don't want to say these things to you. Do you know why? They can be depressing, but there's a pill for that. So what we're doing with Upheaval is we're putting out with each volume one little pill of Xanax so that you can get through all the chapters if you find yourself reacting negatively. Because why not? Hell, the rest of the country's on something, either legal or illegal, prescription, abused, or simply used. It's becoming pro forma. And that's sad. We need to take ours straight up. And find some courage that would suggest that we're in touch with our heritage and with our destiny.
And Lou, furthering that, General GE, the third largest multinational conglomerate, pays zero in corporate tax, you have pointed out. Why?
Well, at the time that they did that, they were doing what people do. They were hiring legions of tax attorneys, avoiding an effective tax rate. That year, 4 years ago, they happened to get lucky and they didn't have to pay any taxes. The overall effective tax rate is about 17%, as the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Roundtable, all of the business associations, all the lobbying groups talk about that 35% tax rate. The highest in the world. Well, bull. It's not the highest in the world. It's on an effective basis, and by the way, when you pay as GE and other corporations, no picking on GE because lots of companies do it, shall we mention Google, for example, it's perfectly legal, but it's a device not available to citizens. And you know, corporations are just citizens, right? We gave them citizenship status and they achieved something new out of it. The point being, U.S. multinationals have managed to put together a direct line to the Oval Office, to the Speaker's office, to the Senate Majority's Leader's office. And when corporate America calls right now, our politicians are answering. The shame is we have watched an evolution of scope and scale and proportion in our society that no one intended, no one debated, no one really discussed, in which all of a sudden we've become a corporatist society. I love business. I am more of a free enterprise capitalist, I would wager, than anyone in this room. But I'm also a fellow who's somewhat in touch with American values. I champion the middle class because I believe the middle class is where, as I often say, where the American dream resides and is embraced with the greatest gratitude. Corporations have become something we never intended. As they have grown larger, there's no discussion about how large the corporations. You ever notice this? The Tea Party goes after the issue of limited government. Great, I'm all for that. We've even had a president in his most recent New Yorker interview acknowledge he can't control government because it is a beast so massive that he is surfing at the crest on his best days, but not driving that engine. We have a society right now in which we are watching corporations grow ever larger. J.P. Morgan Chase, again, not to pick on anyone, but it's the biggest bank in the country, approaching $1.3 trillion assets. We're talking about 12 commercial banks that control 70% of the commercial banking assets in this country. Let me put it in perspective. 12 banks among just under 7,000 commercial banks control 70% of the assets. There is no one, in my opinion, with any acquaintanceship with either our history or economics or the understanding of the structure of banking and financial intermediaries that could applaud that reality. And this 5 years from the nadir of the greatest economic reversal since the Depression in this country. I